This is the Limestone Lowdown. Hear the sound when you lie through the issues all around. From every corner, let's make it clear. The change we need is starting here.
Hi everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Limestone Lowdown.
Hey guys.
So, this was kind of a quiet meeting. It was right before in November, the 1st of November, and it was just not a lot of items on there. So, it's kind of quiet. So, let's dive in, except for millions of dollars in expenditures.
So, they did. Dana Henry handed off the baton, I guess, lack of better terms, to the next council president. So I guess they serve in like 12-month terms. So Dana Henry was the council president until this one. So they kind of did the handoff to James Lucas. And, you know, he's a nice enough guy. He's the councilman over District 3. But we have 3 councilmen that are 80 or older. And they mumble. It's very hard to hear them. We've sent emails. They don't respond to emails. So it's just kind of frustrating. So, yeah, then that was announced. Scott Marshall, this is where this kind of, when we're reading the meeting minutes, because remember, we only started attending meetings in August. And we were there for, you know, we had an agenda ourselves on what we wanted to accomplish. And we weren't necessarily paying attention to what was on the agenda, what we were, you know, what they were spending money on, because we had things to talk about.
I guess it just takes you a minute to get like acclimated to like what they're actually saying, and even though they're talking about something, it might become more relevant in the future.
Well, and they don't. It's not in layman's terms. Like they don't talk like the way that this stuff is written. You know, be at the order of the city council to go enter into a contract with so and so. It's just like, it's not the way you talk day to day. So it took us a while to kind of understand what was going on. And one guy, Mr. Marshall, he gets up at like every meeting, and we were reading through these meeting minutes, and it asked the water services director why Hazen and Sawyer Consulting added an additional amount for their project and said that those types of fees should be included in the original cost. So we're like, we don't even remember that. So we kind of started like digging through.
Well, funny you should say that, because, you know, we did a public records request for that. And as of today, they said that accordingly, there's no bids to provide since a competitive bidding process is not required under Alabama law for those professional services. So
they just got to choose who they wanted.
How does that work? So Hazelin and Sons put a proposal out, and then they're like, I guess, over budget or over, not even a bid, whatever they quoted, they went way over it. So there's no, and I say, literally just got this, that there was no bid even required for that professional services. So how's that handled? So you say we're going to spend 50, and then they come back and say, well, we need 70.
Right.
So what? How does that work? So I just, you know, one thing leads to another, and a bunch of questions. You know, it's crazy that just hit me when we were looking at this. We literally just got the answer back to that today.
Yeah, and I was trying to find on here where that is on. Maybe Jared can help me find it. I'm trying to find what that was. Oh, here it is. So it says, be it resolved. Here's this wording. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Athens at its meeting on November 4th, 2024, that the council authorizes an unbudgeted amount of $46,760 to be funded from the Water Services Department capital reserves for Hazen and Sawyer Consulting to perform construction inspection services during the construction of the Elm Street Water Booster Station upgrades, and the Water Services Director for and on behalf of the City of Athens is authorized to enter into this contract to complete the work. So again, like Jared said, they don't have to compete it out. So there was a bid that they put in, they accepted the proposal, and then the City of Athens just shrugs their shoulder at increasing their bid an extra $46,000. But then we have other council members have made comments, but they don't want to waste taxpayer dollars for for less amounts.
The crazy thing is this: we might not even notice this unless Scott Marshall mentioned it.
Yeah, we wouldn't have even, because we don't normally. We try to record these episodes like as soon as the city council meeting is over, so that it's fresh on our brain about like what happened, who spoke, and they don't release meeting minutes for like 3 weeks out. And so we kind of were just getting ready for another podcast, and we needed some stuff to reference back to, and we saw this and we're like, oh my goodness, we've not recorded for November 4th city council. We need to make sure and talk about that. So that's what that even caught our mind, that Scott Marshall had made a comment that. And I'm sure, and there was no answer given. The meeting minutes, they don't give it. Because again, guys, like, you go up there, you can have your 3 minutes to speak, but they have made it very clear that they're not going to engage with you. So they're not going to answer questions, and they just, they're free to do with whatever they want. So to keep going from that, so that's where I started going through these meeting minutes, and I started highlighting, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like we've spent so much money. So be it resolved by the city council to purchase equipment for the police admin vehicles and installation of equipment for the MCA Sharp Communications not to exceed $11,000. That is the police department's existing capital expenditure. That's probably one of those consent calendar items that was already planned for. So then this is where it starts getting good. So the city of Athens, the council authorizes the amount of $17,100 to be funded from the Water Services Department operating budget from the USGS maintain and monitor of Swan Creek Stream Gauging Station for 12 months. So they're entering some of this at $17,000. That was also a consent calendar item that was budgeted for. There was another one that was $49,000 for the purchase of the Kubota model U35 for R1A tractor for the Water Services Director. That one didn't have which pot of money it was coming out of. Yep. There was $6,765 for the purchase of a Bushmaster rotary cutter model MX 401-42. That one also did not have what it was coming out of, but it's also the Water Services Department. Also for $5,600 for the purchase of a Land Pride plate compactor, Water Services Department, and then $57,000 for the purchase of a 2025 F-250 on the diesel upgrade for the Water Services Director.
Could we have not reached out to the state again for maybe a used vehicle instead of buying a brand new one?
$60,000? Yeah,
I don't know.
So those are all consent calendar items. Those were planned, budgeted. So this is where it gets really, really interesting. Then we go into a whole list of unbudgeted items. So the city council authorizes an unbudgeted amount of $46,000. That's for the capital reserves for that Hazen and Sawyer Consulting to perform construction inspections. That's what we mentioned. That's what Jared had mentioned first. And then the Water Services Director is authorized to purchase 3 Vulcan Street models FT36 and the ancillary wash presses model EWP 250/260, whatever that means, at a cost of $985,000.
Almost $1 million.
Almost $1 million. It doesn't say which pot of money it's coming out of. It just says they're spending it. There is also an unbudgeted amount of $105,000 to be funded from the Water Services Department cash reserves for Krebs Engineering to perform the high rate filter study at the WTP and to develop a 30-year water treatment master plan.
That's funny you mentioned them, because I think we've heard that engineering firm several other times.
Yeah.
Aren't they redoing the sewers and stuff in North Athens?
I think so. They were the ones that they authorized like up to $60,000 to come up with a plan, which I fully support. I mean, like, if we're going to you're not talking about, I'm thinking about Strain Road, that they authorized somebody, but you are right about the North Athens. I know what you're talking about now. Yes. So this is another one, an unbudgeted capital amount of $8,800,000 to be funded from the Water Services Department capital reserves for a contract with Cleary Construction to construct the WWTP East Primary Lift Station. Where in the heck do we have over $8 million in a reserve fund?
I guess we're paying a hefty price for our water in the city of
My gosh.
But that also, maybe we need to look into the bids on that.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, it just hit me. I saw, Cleary Construction. We need to check those out, folks, because that's a lot of money.
Almost $9 million.
Ooh.
$9 million. And this was unbudgeted.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
And it's out of the capital reserve. And not like the city capital reserve. But apparently each department has their own reserves, which I'm fine with again. But when you start adding all of this up, it's like this one contract alone is for nearly $9 million.
And you would think that when you got to that high amount, that it would be budgeted. It's not like a perfect example is what just happened with the police department. Oh, the boiler went out.
Right.
I mean, that's something you can't plan. $50,000. Nobody would bat an eye at it to fix.
It's the middle of winter. It's been
to
snowing.
Fix the boiler. Okay. It's not like the police department's like, hey, we need $5 million for something that's not on the budget. It's like, wait a minute. But it seems like even with that, that's like a project.
Yeah.
So it's not like an oopsie, an accident happened or something like that. It sounds like it's something that was planned. So if it was planned, why wasn't it budgeted?
Yeah.
And especially that much.
And it always goes back to, like, this is the November 4th City Council meeting, the September 26th. So 3 council meetings before that, you had the people up there with Strain Road that were talking about sewage in their yard, backing up into their house, and the horrible conditions that they're living in. Brand new neighborhoods are coming in. They don't have any issues. And this city is kicking the can down the road on a hope and a prayer that ADEM comes in for a grant. But yet we have nearly $9 million in a water services department cash reserve fund. I mean, it's not making sense. So anyways, then we keep going on. There's another unbudgeted amount of $1,981,600 to be funded from the Water Services Cash Reserve Fund for a contract with Appel Machinery and Supply Company to construct the Elm Street Water Boost Station.
Well, I guess with all this growth, they're having to spend some money on the infrastructure.
Well, and again, it's like you support it, but it's unbudgeted, unplanned, and it's nearly $2 million.
But it is planned.
It's unbudgeted.
It's unbudgeted, but you can't this didn't just come out of nowhere. They're not replacing an existing piece of machinery for this booster statement. This is new.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. It had to be planned.
Yeah.
Even though it's not budgeted, it had to be planned.
Right. Well, somebody planned it.
That's where the questions come in.
Yeah. So then there is another one, an unbudgeted capital amount of $275,984 to be funded from the Water Services Department cash reserve for a contract with Vortex Services, LLC, to pipe burst certain sanitary sewer lines for rehabilitation purposes, and the Water Services Director.
So we actually saw that. So that was over there near us on Washington Street. Remember when those guys were in the suits and they had the streets blocked, and when we were going to get the babies back and forth? That's what they were Vortex. Okay. I remember seeing it on the side of their vehicles.
Yeah.
So we saw that.
So these, again, like, all of this stuff is necessary expenditures, but the fact that it's like unbudgeted and it's just coming out of a cash reserve. Like, for it to be in a cash reserve, it's like there's surplus.
And I guess two things come to mind. Okay, unbudgeted, unplanned. So your burst, it's not like this is to fix a burst pipe. So they're saying we're going to do this to fix something. So that means it was planned somehow. Somebody had to plan it. We don't understand how it's not planned.
So just to kind of hurry things along, so in this city council meeting, there was $12,285,803.83 that was paid for from the Water Services Department. Out of that 12.2 million, $11,162,584 was unbudgeted from the cash reserves. So it still brings into question, are those upgrades necessary? Sure. But again, why are Strain Road being forgotten about? Is it, because they're poor and they're black and they're forgotten about and nobody cares about them? I don't know, just the way that we have. And then do all the departments have this just slush fund of reserve funds?
Well, the funny thing is, going through the budget, none of that was on there.
Right, because we've requested financial statements. I don't remember seeing any of this. So another thing, also, the next thing is a resolution approving the purchase of office furnishings for the planning department. So the planning department director is authorized to expend up to $6,000 for purchase of installation of office furnishings. And this is coming out of the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. We've mentioned this before. We kind of feel like coronavirus money was set aside for something else. And I mean, how much money is left in there? Also, there is the city council to apply for the A-TRIP 2025 funding program following the improvements that will include a traffic signal at 31 and Roy Long Highway, lighting along the before mentioned routes, access management improvements along 31 and turn lane improvements, accessing Country Club Acres at an estimated cost of $1,175,080.12. The city will commit to a 25% match at $235,016.02. This match has been approved via the council for FY25 bituminous paving contract and traffic impact assessment fee. This was at the Roy, Mound, and Cannon subdivision. Now, those are big names.
So what you're telling me is it costs $1.1 million to hang a traffic light?
Basically.
That seems a little steep to me, but maybe that's not my lane. But okay, so the city can commit $235,000 to that, but like we're saying, when you can't go to the bathroom and use your toilet at your house, it's like, oh well.
Well, that Roy, Mound, and Cannon, it said all that we needed to see was that they're doing for upgrades for that, because those are big name families here. So lots of money that was spent. We know why, because the good old boy system, how this money was spent, why it was spent. But yeah, so they're willing to do matching stuff for other areas, and upgrades and improvements to benefit their friends, but not the people on Strain Road.
And the funny thing is, at the very end, our friend Mark.
Oh yeah, Mark had to miss this meeting.
He missed it, but he made an impact because he dropped off a couple people.
Yeah.
So what we talked about with Tim earlier, Teresa and Willis, and they came and spoke, and it was like, oh, lo and behold, they're in one of Sybert's houses. One of the worst looking Sybert houses that we've seen. Well, and they had sewage problems too.
And the reason why they came to city council was because they had asked the property manager that they weren't going to pay their rent until the sewage issue was fixed, and the power was cut off. And they came in front of city council to say, hey, Chris Sybert, you're the owner of this house. And in the meeting notes, it's just very vague, in saying that Teresa came and
that they're living in and stated there are numerous amounts of repairs that are needed. Did not even say that it was Sybert's house.
So we did an episode with Tim about Teresa, and we won't bore you with those details because it's on another episode. But the highlight of this meeting was just to see that the agenda itself was like 2 pages, very few items on it, nothing that stood out. And luckily, we looked back at the meeting minutes, and the $12.2 million that was spent in this meeting.
Well, not only that, but that traffic light and a couple other things.
and the
You're
traffic
talking
light.
about we spent close to $14 million
Yeah.
potentially.
Yep.
It's like crazy.
Yeah. So that's why we keep harping on the agendas need to be more transparent. I mean, you've got Huntsville, Madison, Prattville, Sylacauga, Florence. All of these agendas are very transparent. How much money is going to be spent, how much money is going to be matched, which pot of money it's coming out of. They even add links to additional stuff if you have to add some sort of contract in there to be transparent, to show, hey, this is what your tax dollars are going to, and the difference in what this boring city council meeting agenda looked like to what was actually went on. So just to kind of show you some transparency on what we see was spent. And again, there's the another episode with Tim about Teresa. So that was it for that meeting, guys. So till next time.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Limestone Lowdown, where we break down the issues, keep you informed, and give you facts straight from the source. Remember, your voice matters. Your vote counts, and your community thrives when we stay engaged. Stay tuned, stay informed, and stay involved. Until next time, keep questioning, keep advocating, and keep shaping the future of the Limestone area. We'll see you on the next Limestone Lowdown.